everyone, welcome back to the District 3 podcast. My name is Irvin.
And this is Elena.
And this is episode 254.
Woo!
We've made it to 254. 300 is not that far away.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to start this episode by giving a shout out to someone who we've interviewed before, Emmanuel Cortez, who is a musician, a very young musician. I think he's like 19 or 20 years old. And in his song that he put out, it's called Amor. It's got 22 million plays
22 million?
On Spotify.
Jeez.
And I saw that like Aventura had a concert in Dallas, and they were playing his song before Aventura came out. And one of the cool things that I was telling Elena is that I think that song's got to be like the most like the Spanish song that has been the most successful probably in Arkansas history. I can't recall any other Spanish song coming out of Arkansas. I mean, English, you have Johnny Cash, like you have Al Green, you have folks that probably had millions and millions of plays, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to Spanish songs, like I can't think of any other big song like that. So just shout out to him, to Emmanuel, if he's listening. And another thing I'm excited about is the interview with Mayor Sprouse, who's the current mayor of Springdale. That should be a fun interview just to talk about like the history of like his history in Springdale, but also like about the growth, because he's seen a lot of growth, not only in like the Latino community, but in the Marshallese community. So I'm excited.
And that's going to be a D3 mini.
Yeah, which is video. Yeah. And we're going to be doing it at the, what do they call that place where they have everything? City Hall?
Is it City Hall?
Yeah. So I'm excited about the interview and grateful for Mayor Sprouse.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, because our numbers are low on YouTube. Like I know we just started taking it seriously like 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but come on, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go look us up, District 3 Podcast. But today, we're actually interviewing someone that I'm really excited about talking with. She's actually a former Arkansas gymnast, former Razorback gymnast. Now she is a new WWE recruit, Sirena Linton. Thank you for joining us today, Sirena. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. One of the things that we talked about before, well, right when you got here, I was like, how do you pronounce your name? Because I've been looking at some like news articles, TV interviews that you've done, and I saw that it was pronounced Sirena. But I was like, I have a feeling that it's Sirena, so let me confirm. And you confirmed it for me.
Dude, I was so excited you asked that too, because I feel like a lot of people just go with Sirena, you know, and that's fine. I don't take anything by that. But when people say my name correctly, I'm like, oh, it touches my heart a little bit. I'm like, oh, wait, you pay attention, you know, especially like the spelling of it. It's
kind of like how did our parents want our names to be pronounced is important. That we today. And, you know, I'm Irvin, but I've gone by Irvin my entire life. And I don't remember me being the one that was like, call me Irvin. I'm pretty sure it was like Irvin, but then I just got used to it because that's what people called me. But there's a beautiful thing to like have your name pronounced the way your parents wanted it to be pronounced.
Yeah, and also that I was named Mermaid.
Yeah.
That's why. My dad didn't name me Sirena, like just like Serena, you know. It's like you named me Mermaid. So it's like, and I say my dad, but like my mom and dad, but it's mainly my dad.
Is there like any kind of story your parents have given you about that name? Like why they did that specifically?
I think it just like resonated with them. My dad calls me La Sirenita, his little mermaid, you know, and so it's like, it's just, I've always been Sirena, so there's nothing more to it. At least I can ask, but.
And you're Mexican American. So that means either one of your parents or two of your parents were Latino. Can you tell us a story about that?
My dad lives in Juarez. And my mom, she's white.
Okay.
So that's why I look like this. But I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican American. I'm proud to be.
Hey, and I've seen that you're very a very prideful person, very proud of where you come from, because I've seen pictures of you like with the Mexican flag, and I think that's really cool because representation is important, right? I think in the gymnast world, just in general. Is there a lot of Latinas like that you've encountered, or is it more of a like Caucasian kind of sport?
The gymnastics is predominantly white. It's a privileged sport, and representation is still something that the gymnastics community is working on. I mean, obviously it takes years and years to really highlight, but with Simone Biles, with a lot of diversity now, like in the Olympics, I think we're seeing a lot more of like different ethnicities and races, backgrounds being highlighted and amplified. And so to answer your question, no, there's not. And even in my brain right now, I can only name maybe a few like Latina college athletes in gymnastics, you know, and so coming into the sport, especially in the collegiate level, was really important for me to highlight that and highlight that I am Mexican American, especially for the young girls watching who can resonate with that and be inspired that.
What
you know,
made
they
you
can
get
do
into
it.
gymnastics?
My mom tells me that flipping around, just being crazy, and she told
You
me
were a wild child.
Yeah, I think just a lot of energy.
Yeah.
She told me a story of like right before she gave birth to me of how I like did a somersault in her stomach the night before she gave birth to me, and so she had to get a C-section. So like she's like, then I knew you were a gymnast. So
So how do the conversations look like then with like your parents when you tell them this is something I want to pursue? Because I'm guessing it's not something that's like cheap to do, right? How like cheap as in like how much money do you have to?
Oh, they put me, so I have a sister and I have 3 brothers. They're all half related to me. But my sister was in gymnastics before me for a little while. And when I was younger, I would go and just watch her. I was too little to be in it. But I always told my parents, like, I want to go to gymnastic like her, like, you know, gymnastics. And when I got old enough, they were finally like, okay, we'll put you in like the toddlers class. And from then I ran with it. And as far as financials, as I started moving up in my progress in the sport, it got more expensive. You spend more time in the gym and it's not cheap. And so like working with the owners of like, hey, like if you want her to continue to progress too, because the coaches were like, she has a lot of talent, she can really go somewhere with this. My family's like, well, we can't afford 2-a-days, which 2-a-days are like 3 hours in the morning, 5 hours in the afternoon. Like that's a lot of time and a lot of money. And so thankfully, you know, there's been a lot of leeway with like, if we see that talent in her, we're gonna help you guys, you know what I mean? So like financially, cool. Like helping us out with some of the costs. So that helped. So yeah.
You talked about your dad being from Juarez. Have you visited over there? How do you feel about that? Because I know some people get scared when they hear of Juarez, Mexico.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going to Juarez ever since I was like 16, 17 years old. My dad, he got deported. So when he did, I mean, it was a big, obviously hardship for my family, but being able to go and visit, I've been going there now since I was, I don't know how long that is, like 6 years. I'm 23. And I've never been scared or nervous or anything like that. I think it's just like, this is what it is. And this is, I've been going there for so long now that it's just become the normal. And I fell in love with Juarez. I fell in love with the community, and there's a lot of great things and just in Mexico in general, and like to be able to explore that side of my heritage and continue to learn, it's beautiful.
And there's a lot of culture in Juarez. Like there's a lot going on. So I get upset, you know, that like unfortunately because of people who don't know what the community is really like and their perception on stuff, and sometimes even like the U.S. as a country sometimes will be like, don't go to these places. You know, I got to go to Zacatecas last year, and it's on the list of like, do not go if you're a U.S. citizen. And honestly, I had no issues. There was never a time where I was concerned for my safety. And sometimes you just get to thinking like, man, like some of the times, like we're just scaring people for no reason, you know? So I'm glad that you are getting to experience that. And you told me before we started interviewing, when you're talking about like your dad's deportation, you talked about how like that event happened on your birthday. And that's kind of like traumatic on its own, right? And is that something that you still kind of like that kind of gets to you emotionally? Because like I know me, and one of the things that I shared with you was that like my dad got deported also probably around the same age that your dad got deported, right? And I know how that affects me now. And is that something that like powers you today to like just keep on going? And like, because I kind of turned my negative into a positive. And I'm not sure if that's something that you did as well.
I feel like just like Latinos in general, like with adversity, we're born and bred to take adversity and make it into something great. And I think like I appreciate you being vulnerable with me and telling me that and sharing that. And I think at the time when it happened, I didn't realize, you know, how significant it was going to be. He was held in like immigration hold for a while before he ultimately decided like to self-deport so the country wouldn't. It impacts the time that, you know, you're held there before you can start applying to come back over. And
like the 10-year ban that they do.
So he had 5. And I remember when he told me, he's like, I'm gonna have to go back to Mexico. And I didn't really understand the entirety of how this would impact me until he was there, and I started realizing, well, shit, he can't go to my high school graduation. He can't go to any of my gymnastics meets. He can't come to my senior night. He can't see me walk in college. He can't come to my dorm. He can't come to my first apartment. He can't see me at prom. Like all of these things, and I can continue to name and name and name. And it doesn't stop. What I mean by that is that's the reality of my life today still. And it's hard to talk about because especially in the gymnastics community who I was surrounded by, a lot of people don't understand what that is, what that means to have your family stripped from you. And so it was hard for me, and it still is hard for me. It makes me angry, you know, and it makes me angry for a lot of different reasons, but to not be able to see my dad in the stands when I score a nearly perfect score on beam, or when I transferred to Arkansas and we're in a sold out arena and my name's on the board, you know, when we qualify to the national championships and my dad can't be there to watch that. And now I'm about to graduate with my master's degree. I'm a first generation. Let's go. But it impacts me to this day. And I think like going into the WWE and knowing that can be international for me is really important, because I want to be able to perform in front of him, and I want for him to be able to see it, not through a screen, not through a live stream, not through a TV channel, and actually see me in person, feel those raw emotions, because it's important. And I wish that I can walk around with him on campus. I wish that he could take me out to lunch, come visit me, you know, those little things. He can't. And so does it get easier? Yes. I go visit him when I can, but as I get older, I get busier. Life happens, you know, I'm starting a career, school, all of that. So the reality is that like I have to go when the time is right for me, and sometimes that time is not for months to like now. I haven't seen him in over a year. I can't, because I came here, transferred, started school, and now I'm training for something really, really important coming up. And I told him, like, Dad, this is a sacrifice that I'm choosing to make for my career right now. Once I get this, then I will come see you, because he can't come see me. And so that's like the time that I have to take out, you know. And of course I'm excited and I want to go and see him, but I also have to put myself first when the time is important. And I miss him and stuff like that, but until then, I'm still here working until I have the time to be able to do that.
So are you pretty close with your family? Like, you know, do you have a lot of people that look up to you and stuff?
Oh yeah, I'm really close with, especially like, I mean, I keep talking about my dad, but I'm really close with my dad. I'm close with my mom too. We've all gone through our struggles as a family, and I had a chaotic childhood growing up, but I've learned to work through a lot of the relationships with my family and my siblings, and yeah, I mean, I love everybody. No matter what. My brother got killed 3 years ago, and I think something I learned from that was that regardless of what's going on in your family, this is still my blood. This is still like, you know, part of me. And so those relationships have become 20, 30 times more important. I mean, you know, like life is so valuable, and it's taken away literally at any moment. So when my brother got killed, it was like I lost myself. Our whole family, you know, like, so.
Was it like here in the U.S. or was it like military related?
So it wasn't military related. But he served in the army, and no, it was here in the U.S. It was in El Paso. So my dad lives in Juarez. My brother lived in El Paso with my niece and his wife, and it was just an unfortunate event of an angry man, you know, and ultimately killing my brother. So yeah, it's something that it still obviously still impacts me, but family is family, and I love them, and it's what I do everything for. It's for my family.
When I was looking up, when I was doing research and stuff on you, and I ended up on Facebook, I looked up your name, and
Facebook.
One of the things that popped up was like, I think it was your dad posting about you.
So was he the first one that popped up? Because he's the one who's always.
I think he was. It said something like, what was the post? I think it said something like, I don't know, like it was. I think it said something like, when my daughter gets signed by WWE, I won't say anything, but there'll be signs.
Oh my god, he is literally. He thinks he's so funny. Dude. He thinks he's so funny.
He's got memes on deck.
Dude, he thinks he's so funny. I see that and I'm like.
But it was like you with the WWE logo and stuff. And I thought that was precious. That's so cool. You know, that even have support from, even if it's a little bit far away. To be able to have that support. And hopefully one day, you know, hopefully all this goes good and you get to perform in Mexico and he gets to see you. Or hopefully our immigration system gets fixed because we've been waiting for like 40, 50 years for that to happen. And
what was your family's reaction when you said?
Well, let's see. I started getting recruited from them / I reached out to them as in the WWE.
So you were a fan before, or?
Yeah, I grew up watching the WWE. My like 3 brothers, like I said, my dad, Lucha Libre. I would go and at swap meets, like they would have the indie wrestling, all of that. So like,
was this in Arizona or was this in Mexico?
Both.
The swap meets in Mexico,
dude,
in Juarez,
dude,
in El Paso.
But no, I love swap meets. I love them. Yeah, I think a few years ago now, like the beginning of my senior year at Arizona, and I started talking to them, and I told my dad, I was like, dude, like the WWE like wants to interview me for a potential spot for this program that they're creating with the NIL, name, image, likeness, now for their next in line, you know, they've done their own twist on it, and I was like, you know, I'm so excited about it and nervous, and is this real? I didn't realize that I could get into the WWE. I thought you had to be a wrestler growing up. I thought you had to like always be kind of in that industry. And so when I heard that they were recruiting college athletes, and there's 2 former gymnasts now, collegiate gymnasts who are now in the WWE. Shout out to them. When I saw that they were doing that, I was like, I absolutely want to go for this. This is something that I can definitely see myself doing. And so talking to them and it coming into fruition of me getting signed, with the transfer, all of that time, because I was like, okay, I'm going to do a 5th year and I'm going to go, you know, yeah, super excited. I think some of my family's like the practicality of like, well, you know, you got to finish school and, you know, like you stay healthy and, well, what about like a real job? And I'm like, this is a real job and this is what I want to do. My dad and I know if my brother was here, Adrian, he would be over the moon, but like all my siblings are over the moon. And I mean, I have so much support from my family, so I'm really grateful for that. Because I know, like we talked about, like the practicality of it. Or I guess I don't want to say practicality. It's more so like the traditional way of like work, you know, and so non-traditional. And so it's just something that you just have to get used to. And I think some of my family members are like just getting a little bit used to it.
Do you think it helped when you were on TV? when you were like when they showed you up on NXT? You were like, look, this is real. I'm on TV.
Yeah, I think it was never bad. It was never negative. It was just like precautionary of like, we just want you to be successful and we want you to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm getting my degree. I got my bachelor's and I'm going to finish my master's. I have 2 classes left. Let's go.
Hey.
But this is something I want to, now it's time to chase my dream.
Yeah.
I'm checking the boxes of like, degree, right? And now I can chase my dream. This is my dream. And I want to go for it. I want to go for it.
You got like your whole life ahead of you.
Yeah.
And you did all this. You got your master's. You're getting your master's at such a young age, you know? And I think it's cool that all this started with just like you emailing WWE. Like, what email do you even send like your initial email to?
Dude, it wasn't even email. So like as college athletes, we have this like app called Influencer that like we get all of our photos uploaded to after meets.
Oh, okay.
So like all of our professional stuff and like we can like post it, whatever. And so when they started doing like sponsorship stuff, they started incorporating companies onto that app so they can like get to know you. You can build a profile and
that's cool.
like so they have like different companies that can start to reach out to you if you spark their interest, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I saw like WWE on there and I saw my friend Darian who now is over there doing it, and so I was like, I'm just gonna message them. And so I was like, hi, my name is Sirena, like I have a crazy personality, like I'm really interested in possibly doing work with you guys, like. And so for like a few weeks I didn't hear back and I kind of like forgot about it a little bit, you know, and was really just trying to get my name out there with like some of the NIL and sponsorship stuff. And then all of a sudden I like checked my phone one day and I got a message from the WWE, and that's when I called my dad. I was like, Dad, what's going on? Like, and he's like, what? You messaged them? I'm like, but I didn't think they would respond. Oh my gosh! And so then, yeah, interviews started happening, and then, yeah, so here we are.
Have you had conversations with them where they've told you why they chose you? Have you talked about that? Have they said exactly? Because I mean, I'm
that
pretty
crazy personality part. Just
dude, honestly, when they chose me, I was like, ask no questions.
Yeah, I feel that. Don't ruin anything.
Don't question it. Just go with it. No,
that makes sense.
I honestly should though. Like
maybe in the future, just wait till you get a little bit more in the room.
I mean, like I'd like to think that there's a lot of different like aspects to me that would appeal them, but even competing like at Arizona, like I would pay homage to, you know, like the people's elbow, like after I would compete. I mean, there's a video of me doing that, and just the glam personality. I've dyed my hair crazy colors, like not that I mean like looks, persona, that does matter, and being
it's the most important thing.
Yeah, and being
them.
free to who I am, and I think I resembled that very well with my culture, my sexuality, all of that, of being very, very open. So I'd like to think that those would be some of the reasons, but I'd be sure to ask at some point.
Makes sense. And I think you've already been in Orlando, right? You've already gone to the Performance Center. How was that experience like?
It was incredible.
Because you've gone in the ring too, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you've gone like flipped already?
Flip. I have. So I'm actually training in the ring here too with
I saw that on the news. It said that you were training in Fave. I was going to ask you about that. How is that?
It's good. I'm training with like Ozark Mountain Wrestling. I'm not like training with them, but I'm using their equipment, so thank you to them. Just to continue to run the ropes. Obviously I'm still pretty new to wrestling, so a lot of stuff I'm very beginner. But being a college athlete, I picked up things pretty quick, so even them of like, okay, do this and do that. I'm like, okay, trying it. And they're like, dude, she's already, you know, know, taking bumps well and running the ropes well and all of that. That's what I'm doing. But at the Performance Center, it was incredible. And it was a really good experience for me to really get to know what it's going to be like in meeting everybody, seeing the day-to-day. I mean, I was there for, I think, 3 days, but like getting a glimpse of like what a day in a life would look like and like how much you're actually training. And I mean, that really set it into reality for me of like, what do I need to work on promos, media, you know, continuing to develop a higher persona of myself, and then in the ring, getting in the ring, and I fell in love with it. Like, and I think it's good for me because gymnastics has always been my outlet, and it gives me this like hope of what can be my next outlet. And it's important because I've been starting to transition from who I am as a gymnast to like who I am outside of gymnastics, and really being able to explore like, okay, scrap all the accomplishments, scrap being an athlete, scrap even being like training for the WWE, like who am I? You know, and like what parts of myself do I want to continue to dig up and showcase and represent. And so that's a lot of the work that I've been doing, because that is a big part of like moving forward, who I want to continue to be. And so that aside from training, but I mean, I love the ring and I'm a freak. I like the pain. So the ropes hurt.
I've heard that when you do the like when you run the ropes for the first time, a little hard, it hurts. Yeah,
it does. But just like anything, it's kind of like your body builds a callus to it, right? Like you take bumps, it's gonna hurt. Your back's gonna be sore. It's like kind of like a car accident. You get in a car accident. At some point, your body's gonna like develop some sort of callus to get used to it. Being a gymnast, I kind of like correlate it to like you're on the bars. Like when we're swinging on the bars and we wear grips, like we rip up. You know, like our skin gets torn up. But over years, you develop like calluses and thicker skin, so it doesn't do that anymore. And
same thing as being like slammed in the ring, right? Like eventually, I mean, it still hurts, but your body still kind of gets used to it. Yeah, exactly. And your neck, I mean, it's just like any training for any sport. You just have to like be specific with what you're doing in your exercises, neck strength, you know.
How do you feel about the acting part?
I am excited to continue to learn.
Yeah.
Because I think I would like to say that I'm like really good in front of the camera, but I think it's different when you are like being more performative and talking about whooping people's asses. Like that's just something that you have to get used to. And I'm a quick learner. I'm coachable, and I'm moldable. I'm a sponge. And so I think as I continue to practice and then learn, it will become like second nature to me. It's just gymnastics has been my entire life. I've never done any, and I was like telling like some of the other athletes like, oh, when I was younger, I did musical theater too. Or like, you know, I was into art, or I don't know, you know, like I was in the gym for 8 hours a day, every single day. And sometimes like, you don't even like gymnastics, you don't talk. I mean, I know in every sport you don't like talk, perform, but like that's all I did. And so to really dip into like what I talked about, who am I? Who else am I? Yeah. What else can I rip out of myself? And I think this is just another like lane of like, you can be an actress and you can be a performer like verbally and in the camera and a personality and influence, you know, all of these things. And so continue to learn like and really like find that in myself.
How do you view this? Do you view this as like a challenge or like, you know, a new level, like you know?
So I think like I like to think that when I went from Arizona to Arkansas, like Arizona was a really, really great program. Athletically very talented, but Arkansas was just on another level. And so when I went from Arizona to Arkansas, I let me even backtrack further. I came into Arizona as a walk-on. So for me, it was like, I'm proving myself. So I was like this, like, what is that saying? You know, like in the fish in the pond, like little fish in a big pond, right? And you work your way. I became an All-American, established myself in the program, became the face of Arizona gymnastics, and, big fish in a little pond. So then when I was ready to move forward, right, like going to Arkansas, it was like little fish in a big pond again, because now it's the next level. And really just the same thing, you know, and then eventually, you know, we made it to the national championships as a team. That's my second time going. I went in as an individual at Arizona, and so really to help bring that team to that level. And so then it was like, okay, now I've done that, and now I feel like and I'm the person that loves like the challenge. I love that, and it's hard. It comes with it's shit, but like I see this the same way. This almost kissed the mic. Like going to the WWE and being around all those athletes, it was like, okay, we're all talented. We're all athletically capable of so many things. We're all hot. We're all good looking. You know what I mean? So what is it that's going to continue to differentiate me? What can continue to make me stand out as an individual? And I have to rely on who I am as a person, continue to dig that up, and then also realize that like I can do things that a lot of people can't do, which is flip, which is be a gymnast, which is twist and turn and split and all of these things, which like I think because I've been out of gymnastics for like a few months, I'm like, I forget my body can do some of these things. Like, yes, I'm in the ring training, I'm lifting and stuff like that, but I'm not tumbling every single day. I'm not on the beam every single day. I'm not swinging on the bars every single day anymore. So sometimes I'm like, yeah, I could still do those things, and that's why they want me, you know? And so I have to just continue to remember that, because that is something that will continue to individualize myself.
I think one of the things that a lot of people that are not wrestling fans don't really know is that with pro wrestling, not only do you have to worry about like the moves, you have to worry about the promo that you're doing. You have to be able to read the audience and kind of work with what the audience is giving you, the energy that they're giving you. And then also you have to worry about the cameras. You have to worry about the hard cam. Where's the hard cam at? Like right behind you. You got to make sure that you're looking at the hard cam when you're giving a promo. So it's like a lot of things that you have to do at once. So you have to be a very talented individual to be able to pull it off effectively, which I think people just think that like someone just goes into a ring and everything is rehearsed and everything is just goes by as smooth as they planned it, but it's not like that. A lot of it's improv. Do you feel pretty comfortable with the idea of like improv just in general, or is that something that you're still kind of trying to learn?
Honestly, as a gymnast, we have to improv a lot more than you think. When you make mistakes on the balance beam, when you make mistakes on the floor, when you're trying to cover something up, like you can't just like stop. You know what I mean? You have to keep going, continue the fluidity of something. And I see wrestling, and as I continue to learn, it's like a dance, you know, like it's fluid. You continue to move, and you are wrestling. It is real. Everything we're doing is still real. And when moves don't go right, you just like gymnastics, you gotta make it work, you know? And so that's, I think, what I'm continuing to relate it to, and using that, my background now, to continue to push forward. Because, yeah, when you mess up on a beam skill and I'm wobbling all over, like, what do I cover it up with? Dance? You know, or like do a little kick or something, you know, like try to make the judges not recognize. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes the judges don't know any better. And that's the same with the fans. I mean, they're not going to know if you continue to make it work. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that definitely makes sense. And we've definitely seen that in the pro wrestling world, where some folks make mistakes and they either play it off or they just like I think I've seen someone like fall down, and instead of just showing that they fell down, they like just make it seem like they're in real pain because it happened by accident. So I think improv is such an important thing, and I'm glad that you have that mindset. What are some goals for yourself, like, you know, being a recruit for the WWE and training right now? What do you see like that you want to do in the future when it comes to your participation with the WWE? Like, do you want to be like, what kind of wrestler do you want to be, or what do you envision for yourself? Because I know we're really early off in this journey, but I just want to know what you're thinking. Like,
I think if you were to ask me today what my goals are, obviously, I think every wrestler's dream is to be on main roster, especially coming in to the NXT. But I mean, I have to take it day by day. So my goal right now is NXT. Do I see myself being one way or the other as far as like babyface or heel? I think that I can work both really well. I think as I continue to pull out, you know, the personality, and obviously like what's going on at the time, like I think things always change, and you see that even in wrestling today is like everybody's person per se, like, you know, depending on what's going on.
You kind of give me heel vibes though. I don't know why. Has anybody told you that? you kind of give me heel.
The WWE fans, they say that I'm a heel.
For those that don't know, heel is like the bad guy.
Yeah.
In character. I don't know. You kind of give me heel vibes, but we'll see where.
Yeah, I think ultimately I'm like clay. I can be molded either way, but heel vibes, yeah. I've been hearing that a lot lately. Yeah. So I think as I continue to bring my story, and I want to bring my personal background into, that's who I am, and I want to bring that into the WWE, and I think like time will tell how that's gonna sit with people, and is that gonna make me a villain if I go out and say, you know, I've had everything taken from me. I've had my dad taken from me. I've had my brother taken from me.
So I'm taking the belt.
So I'm taking your belt. Give it to me. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Or yeah, and I mean I can, and it's also like interesting because it's also like overcoming adversity, which everybody continues to go overcome adversity no matter how that looks, and that also is my superpower. You know? So like I said, I think that it can play in a lot of different ways, and I think ultimately for me, I just want to be able to hit people in a way that inspires them, because I think that's a big part of my purpose, is just to continue to inspire people.
I'm so excited for you, Sirena. I think you have a bright future ahead of you, and just your story is so powerful. And I'm always about like, what can we do to like represent for our people, and just to show people like, hey, look, I'm doing it, you can do it too. I think that's so important. You know, if someone hears your story, here specifically in Arkansas, I mean, there's a lot of people that have gone through family separation, you know, and they probably don't even like envision themselves doing something like you're doing. So the fact that you have such a powerful story where people are like, oh, look, she's doing it, like I can do it too, that's like powerful on its own.
Thank you.
So I'm just excited for everything that you're doing. We'll definitely be, you know, sharing all your stuff, and we'll be following your journey here. Where can people find you on social media? Or the social media that you want to share, because you know, sometimes people get a little creepy.
I'm pretty much like at Sirena Linton, Sirena Linton on everything. Instagram, TikTok, I don't know, you call it X, Twitter.
I use Twitter. I say it's Twitter still. I'm not changing.
Yeah. So
okie dokie. Yeah. And also, one of the questions that we ask all our guests is, what do you do to take care of your mental health?
That's a really good question. I'm so glad you asked that. And that's something that I think is really fluid for me. But hanging out with people who love me, quality time is like a big love language of mine. And I'm currently not in a relationship, but I think like quality time with people I love, like my friends, especially here right now because I can't really be with family. That's really important to me. Self-care, taking a bath, you know, like getting my nails done, like, you know, getting dressed up to feel good. My coffee in the morning. Like I wake up and that's my baby. So like that is my self-care. It's like my coffee in the morning, and feeding myself well and nutritionally, and then also taking a rest, because for me, I like am a workaholic. Like I will overwork myself. Because when I want something, like I will do everything to make sure that I set myself up as best as I can to attain that. And if that means I'm in the gym like 24/7, sometimes that's not a good thing, you know? And I think I'm continuing to learn when it's right to take a break. Same with school, you know, same with everything with life. You can take a rest and it's okay, because I'm so used to being busy all the time, especially before being a student athlete, that like when I have time where I'm just like, what do I do with myself? I feel like I'm doing something wrong. So continuing to outlearn those habits, I guess, and that mentality, and like rest is okay. So
definitely
all of those things.
And I guess just the last question, any advice that you give to young Latina women that are listening to this, that might want to do something big like what you're doing? Anything that you can think of, any kind of advice that you can give them? Well,
I'll give Latina and Latinos in general. I would say advice for the WWE or just in general?
Just in general.
Yeah. I think it's important to just continue to know what you want and have those goals and not let the adversity be something that takes you away from that. I think for me, like, use that adversity and make it your superpower. You know, make that challenge into something great. And I think a lot of people still, it's hard, you know, like you struggle with things you face, and is this like God telling me this, or is this a roadblock? And I think roadblocks, and I obviously continue to go through adversity, like have to reframe it. And so like just to continue to reframe those challenges that come in your way and make it into your story and your purpose of why you continue to chase those goals, because it's not ever going to be a narrow path. So that's the advice that I would give.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Thank you. But for everybody listening, that was the end of episode 254 of the District 3 podcast with Sirena Linton. This is Irving.
And this is Elena.
Signing off.